Sancho set to leave Manchester United tomorrow, but will he be going to Chelsea, Juventus, or could he even stay? Sterling to Arsenal could speed up Sancho to Chelsea. Now, talking of Arsenal, one of the players Man United have signed from Arsenal, Obi Martin, Academy star. Arsenal are making their deal incredibly difficult despite him running out of contract. Amrabat has agreed to join Fenerbahce, but Manchester United may be looking at a second midfield signing on top of Ugarte with Naipan, Gornoduaf, and now another midfielder being linked to Manchester United late in the window. That third midfielder being Carney, a Chelsea star, which they could include in a deal for Sancho, who I'd much rather prefer than Sterling. We've got some other stories, we've got some other news. We'll give you the latest on Mount injuries and stuff. But this is Alice Talks Football, and this is your 10-minute late night roundup, where I'm going to round up all the latest Manchester United news that's coming this evening and a couple of stories from earlier today into a 10-minute video. So you're up to date on every bit of Manchester United news you need to know ahead of deadline day tomorrow. There'll probably be 2, maybe 3 streams tomorrow as it is deadline day. But let's get into the news. Raheem Sterling's camp has offered him to Arsenal. Arsenal have confirmed what they would be willing to offer him in terms of wages, and Raheem is okay with that. It's a tricky deal to complete. So Arsenal now trying to do a last-minute deal for Sterling. Just depends on if Sterling's willing to lower his wages. Now, Sterling's been told he's not going to play for Chelsea. Also, I have had a shower. I'm aware that my hair is a complete mess right now. You do not need to tell me in the comments. But, look, Arsenal, Sterling basically is told he's not going to play for Chelsea. He's not going to be part of Chelsea's plans. He's got to lower his wages. He's got to lower his wages and leave. Will Sterling lower his wages to leave? I'd assume so. Surely he wants to play football. If he's got a chance to join Man United and Arsenal, another big club, just by lowering his wages, you might as well, because you're just not going to be playing for Chelsea unless you just want to make the most out of that high wage contract and basically retire. Sterling to Arsenal could be one to watch. Sterling to United could be one to watch. Now, Sterling will only go to United if he does lower his wages, which has been made clear, and United do have other options that they're looking at. Chelsea are in talks with United for Jadon Sancho confirms Romano, and Chelsea are still pushing to sell Raheem Sterling to Arsenal so they can afford Sancho. Chelsea really want Sancho. This is going down to the wire. Juventus have also spoken with Thiago Motta. Sancho and Juventus try and reach an agreement on salary. Juventus management believes the deal is possible. Juventus made an offer for Sancho yesterday. It was a loan with an option to buy. Man United made it clear they want an obligation to buy. Juventus saying because of Sancho's wages, they may struggle. Man United made it clear, permanent deal for Sancho or loan with obligation to buy. They don't want to do anything else. Juventus are playing around, but now Chiesa's been sold and Motta's really pushing for Sancho. It's also said there's an expectation that Juventus could agree a deal with Sancho. Now, Sancho's in talks with both Chelsea and Juventus over personal terms, and there's set to be no problem there. Sancho was open to both, but may prefer Chelsea. But it's about the clubs finding an agreement with Manchester United. Chelsea can only do it if Sterling is uploaded. And Juventus will have to up their offers. There is a small possibility of Sancho staying at United, but the player won't be happy with that. And I don't think the club will be happy with that. But the club have made it very clear, we want money for Sancho. We're not just going to let him go on loan because he's fallen out with the manager. Man United want to improve their negotiation position in future markets. If they don't let Sancho go because it could be going on the cheap, it also means next year teams will know not to muck about with United for Sancho and just pay the asking price and get it done. The thing is, as a player, I do rate Sancho. I think there's a good player there, but he's not shown it at United. And yes, he could have probably had more chances. I think he should have played it over Antony at the start of last season, but that was the manager's decision. It's his attitude. If Sancho stays, I feel like there's going to be problems. There's going to be tension in the dressing room. He doesn't get on with the manager, and it also just decreases his value because who knows how much he's going to play. I want Sancho to go. If he stays, I think it's not the end of the world. It's definitely a good enough attacking option to have, especially with the injuries we'll probably get. And I think that he's better than Antony. And I think, if he can find his form, he's better than the majority of players in our squad. But I just think the way he refused to play for this club for 4 months, I just think we need to get him gone. We need to get him out. It could cause problems if he stays. Let's now talk about the midfield. Fenerbahce reached an agreement with Fiorentina for the transfer of Amrabat. So it looks like Amrabat is going to go to Fenerbahce. There was reports of Amrabat maybe being a second midfield signing, but apparently Toby Collier's good sort of spell in pre-season means United want to give those minutes to Collier and not Amrabat, which, to be fair, as much as Amrabat impressed me in the final 5 games of the season, I think that's totally fair. Collier will be the future. And I think if Amrabat had played next to Kobe for maybe 2 months longer and had been putting in those performances since, January, I think we would have maybe kept Amrabat. To be fair to Amrabat, he was thrown in at left back. He didn't get a few chances and he was put in a role that didn't suit him. I thought Amrabat in the final 5 games he played with Kobe did a good job, but I don't think it was enough in terms of us willing to buy him, and I can understand us opting for other options. Now, One other option, the DM market, which I don't see happening because I think it would have been him or Ugarte. And he's a very different profile to Ugarte. He's very good on the ball. And I think Manchester United, if they were to sign another midfielder, would be someone that's good on the ball because we've only really got that Ameno in terms of a player that's naturally good on the ball. But with Bajcetic set to join RB Salzburg on loan, the move could pave the way for Salzburg to approve a late transfer of Lucas Corner-Duaf, who is highly regarded by Rival. Now, Lucas Corner-Duaf is a young DM, can play box-to-box, really technically good, really good player. He's been linked to United before. He's very highly rated by Vival, obviously being at the RB clubs and being someone that Vival would have brought into the RB clubs. This could be massively one to watch. In regards to United, if there is a move on the cards. It was said at the beginning of the window United want 2 midfield signings, maybe because Casemiro is staying on his wages. We're not getting 2 midfield signings, but with Scott gone, Meshby gone, Amrabat not coming back, and Eriksen expected to go, that's 4 midfielders out the door with 1 coming in. There is an expectation that United do want 2 midfield signings. Now, they did actually look at a guy called Jordi Shelton, who was among options United were exploring in case they failed to get a deal for Ugarte. Obviously, other options were Sander Berge, Amrabat, etc. And apparently Erik ten Hag is an admirer of the midfielder, but obviously we didn't make a move for him. Now, a lot of the midfielders we were linked to we've been told we're no longer getting, which is maybe a suggestion that Ugarte is the final signing and we won't get any more midfielders. And to be honest, if I was to predict, Ugarte's announced tomorrow on deadline day, Kone's announced tomorrow on deadline day, McTominay's announced as a Napoli player, and we probably get some conclusion on Sancho tomorrow. There could be a surprise deal for Lindelof. There could be a surprise deal for Eriksen tomorrow. There could be a surprise deal for a second midfield signing or an attacker. Depends on the window tomorrow. Now, obviously, one of the players that could be a surprise deal, and it's probably the most likely in terms of how much we've been linked to him, in terms of June, we were linked to him quite heavily, is Naipan. Manchester United is still interested in Naipan. The player himself is a United fan, but Arsenal wants to enter the race. No deal is possible for the January window. So there's a possibility of United maybe doing a late deal tomorrow and then loaning him back out until January. Now, obviously, Arsenal are interested in this guy. United have been interested in this guy for a while, but if Arsenal make a move tomorrow, that may prompt United to make a move tomorrow to make sure they don't lose out on him to Arsenal, because obviously he's a great young player and United would want him to come in maybe next season. But United, I think, have been watching this guy, but I think they would make a move for him later on and less competition comes in. But it could be one to watch, but they would have to loan him out until he's 18. And like a little bit like other clubs done. Tottenham signed Bergvall in January. He's only coming now. It's quite a common thing to buy a young player, loan them out for 6 months. They come in. You know, Chelsea doing that with a lot of the youngsters they've signed. Now, talking of Arsenal, although Obi Martin's contract at Arsenal has expired, I heard that Manchester United can't sign him on a free transfer. It's very complicated. He's therefore only training individually and has not yet been presented. Possibly will go to court. Basically, it's a bit like the Ashworth-Newcastle situation. Newcastle were salty that we got Ashworth. They were trying to make it difficult. We ended up getting Ashworth for like £3 million in the end. And all I'm going to say is we've had our best window in ages. Like, I think our net spend's under £100 million with all the, you know, including Ugarte. And Newcastle, their only signing's been Lloyd Kelly and the goalkeeper from Nottingham Forest that they did as part of PSR. No centre-back, no right wing. So all I'm going to say is Dan Ashworth clearly, you know, as much as Newcastle fans try to make out he was rubbish because he was leading, and we all know that Dan Ashworth was brilliant and one of the signings of the season as well. Apparently Mbappe hasn't been very good at Real Madrid in the opening games as well. But I don't know if people are just making out. I haven't watched Real Madrid's opening games. Bit off topic, just saw that on Twitter. Anyway, this is a rumour going about by Chelsea sources. According to one of the Chelsea aggregator accounts, it came out from a good Chelsea source, but Frank summed this up perfectly. Probably Twitter BS rumour going about, but Chelsea have offered 30 million plus Carney for Sancho. And to be honest, I'd accept that deal in a heartbeat. That is a really good deal. Now, obviously, they want to get rid of Carney because he's on 100k a week, which I don't know why they gave him 100k a week when they signed him from Villa, but they did. But he's a really good young player that they signed from Villa that hasn't got the minutes, had a few injury issues. But, you know, I would take that deal in a heartbeat. You know, 30 million plus Carney, that would be a very good deal for United. Now, lastly, Mason Mount is injured. If you didn't catch my live stream earlier, Mason Mount will be out for about 4 to 5 weeks through a slight injury. Mount said this: during my last game, I picked up a minor muscle issue. I've had it checked and it looks like I'll be out for a few games leading up to and during pre-season. I worked really hard to get my fitness back to where it needs to be, and I felt re-energized, sharp and ready. I wanted you to hear it directly from me how frustrated I am, as I expected you are too. I will do everything possible to be back in the best shape to help the team. And I do feel sorry for Mason Mount. He keeps getting injured. He plays 2 games, he gets injured. He plays 2 games, he gets injured. And it's not helping him because he's not able to establish some consistency to keep his place as well. Anyway, guys, please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.